name is Catherine Randall. I'm the current president of the board of the directors of the YWCA, and on behalf of the board, I want to thank you for being here today, to welcome you. Thank you for your support of the YWCA, and thank you for being here today to support and celebrate two extraordinary people, Ellen and Asher. We are delighted that everyone can be here today. I would like to start our afternoon by recognizing our past leader honorees. So if you are here and are a previous leader and you are willing to, I invite you to stand just where you are. You don't have to go anywhere. Just stand where you are and let us celebrate all of these previous honorees as well. We'll get started with our lunch in just a moment. Please wait for staff to excuse your table to go to the buffet line. But if you would pause with me for a moment for our invocation. God of grace, we gather today in celebration, honoring women who witness to your hope and promise for each person to live in dignity and freedom. We give thanks today for models of the diversity of leadership lived out in every kind of work, school, and organization in our community through the power of education, community, welcome, equity, persistence, empathy, encouragement, and compassion. As we gather today in support of the work of the YWCA and to honor the work of leaders in our midst, we are grateful for the opportunity to be fed with food and with community. God of every place and every people, in the face of a divided and hurting world, we ask that you breathe on us your spirit of peace so you might make us bearers of your reconciliation. In our wondrous diversity, teach us how to love, enable us to work together to seek the welfare of our whole community, our whole nation, and our world. Give us strength of purpose and concern for the neighbor we know and the neighbor we do not know, the one who lives next door and the one who lives on the other side of the world. We ask that this time be of hospitality and celebration, move us toward the inclusion and celebration of every person. Make us witnesses and co-creators of your hope and promise for each person to live whole lives of justice, freedom, peace, and dignity. In your holy name, amen. You ready? Yes. Yeah. Just wait for a staff person, please, to excuse you.
Weeks, the accomplishments that they have managed to make over the course of their lives, I started to really think about the things that women accomplish and the things that women create out of what is seemingly nothing. And that really started me thinking, like, over the course of human history, things like if you give women flour, they make bread, that sort of thing. And then I realized, well, it's not really making something out of nothing, is it, right? Like, we start with something. So if you start with, say, if you notice there's a void, yet there's a need, you fill it with something, you create something, you have an inspiration, and you build something into that void. Or, say, if you start with a trauma or a crisis and you take a chaos and you create order, that's what women do. Or if you take an adversity and you create beauty out of it, that's what women do. And that's what we have done over the course of human history. If you take somebody like Asher, who, when Kim Mooney, I will be introducing Kim Mooney and having her join at the podium and tell you a little bit about Asher. What you will hear, I assume, is some of the experiences and struggles that Asher has experienced in her life that have created such an astonishing young woman. And what that really started me thinking about was this idea that when you have adversity, particularly at such a young age, you have a choice, right? When you have suffering and struggle, as we all do, and you learn how to carry that suffering, you have a choice. You can choose to become bitter and jaded, or you choose to create beauty out of it, and you choose to create something good out of it. And if you have a spirit and a soul that has a little bit of fierceness and a little bit of tenacity, then that carries through to some light and beauty in your soul. And there is a gift, and I'm not suggesting that suffering itself is a gift, although some philosophers may suggest such, right? What I am suggesting is that the gift is in the people who choose, who make the choice to create beauty out of the suffering. And that is what Asher has done with her life. And that, when you have that at such a young age, what that does is create a woman who by the time she's 30 is a wizened grandma, a wizened nona, a wizened nana. It doesn't matter if she ever has children, right? She is a wizened woman. She has just created a leader in herself that other people follow. Ashers of the world become Ellens of the world. Now, I just met Ellen for the first time in my life today. If I had passed her at Tops or in the grocery store, I never would have known her. But there are some things I know about Ellen without ever having talked to her. I know, without ever having asked Ellen, that when she saw the void, and she said to herself, there's a need for these young minds to be taught, to be nourished. And she said to herself, we need to fill that with the Learning Center. Somebody said to her, no, Ellen, you can't do that. Like she needed permission, right? Mm-mm. And I know, without ever having asked her her story, that somebody said to her, no, Ellen, there's no way you can find the funding for that. And she sat down and she did some paperwork and she figured it out either way. And she did. I don't have to ask her to know that somebody said that to her. And I know that somebody somewhere along the way said to her, no, Ellen, there's no way you're going to make this work. And 40 years later, and over 3,000 young minds, the Learning Center still exists and is going strong. That is a tenacious and fierce spirit that creates that, something out of nothing. That's what we're here honoring today. That is a woman's spirit. I had an opportunity recently to speak with a colleague who shared this story with me. They said, you know, when I was a young woman, a young mom, I didn't have the money to send my child to the Learning Center, and Ellen gave my child a scholarship. She was so kind to me. And she shared some more things. And after that conversation, I sat back and I realized, so that child now is now grown, they've graduated high school, went on to college. And I sat back and I thought to myself, that child who is now an adult was recognized in this very room as a rising leader. Leaders raise leaders who raise leaders. And we might say, oh, you know, it's a small world, but I would say, no, it's a large impact. Thank you to the women who do that. Thank you to the women who raise other women. Thank you to Asher. Thank you to Ellen. You make a difference. And at this time, I would like to ask Kim Mooney to the podium to share a little bit with you about why Asher is being honored today as our rising leader. Podium's up.
Thank you, Vanessa, and boy, she nailed it. What a great speaker, and I have to follow that up. Well, welcome. Today we're here to celebrate some exceptional leadership qualities. Those of Asher, and those I actually have met Ellen before. I have been Asher's teacher for the past 3 years. I teach at the Seneca Highlands Career and Technical Center, where she's been in my program for early childhood education. Asher was nominated because of her unwavering dedication, ability to inspire, and others who don't rise above it. She's risen to the occasion even when times looked very bleak. Asher, in my eyes, has been a very remarkable individual who has achieved success not only in my program, but has positively impacted the lives of all those around her, exemplifying the ideals of what this award is about. I wrote about Asher being encouraging. She volunteers in a first grade classroom in Port Allegheny Elementary, and I've seen her encourage the students who are struggling to persevere and continue to keep trying. She's fierce, one of a kind, and strives to pave a way and a path in this world. And I would describe Asher as feisty and resilient, since life has thrown many curveballs at her. Inspirational. When Asher's grandmother passed away last year, this transitional time meant many changes for her family. And Asher stepped up and modeled what was taught by this great lady. She's non-judgmental, and Asher is the first person to not judge another person, even when people are not very nice to her. Patient. She works with children, and you know that requires a lot of patience, and nothing can be rushed. Stewardship, she's a good steward of the environment in the classroom, always picking up and leaving no tracks where she's been. Tenacious, she will pull it through. Life gives her lemon, but rather than be soured, as Vanessa talked about, she turns it into something positive and is fearless. Trustworthy, I would trust Asher with any of my belongings, and we trust her with our greatest asset, our children. Today we come together to honor the recipients of these awards, and I have the pleasure and the joy of introducing my student. And upon graduation, she will be my friend, but not until then. Please join me in applauding and celebrating this well-deserved award and our example of inspiration for young people, Asher Askins.
Hello, my name's Asher, obviously. Thank you for all attending today. It means a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to Ellen, wherever she is in the room. Hi. As I reflect on my life and the ups and downs that have come with it, I can't help but feel grateful for the people who have been there for me every step of the way. At 17 years old, I know that life can be tough and unfair, but it is the people in our lives that make it worth all of the pain and suffering we have to face. I've learned that taking the time to appreciate those that have helped me get through those tough times is that it is crucial, and it is always willing to, it is crucial, and it is always be willing to, oh my God, where am I? I've learned that taking the time to appreciate those who have helped me get through those tough times, it is crucial and always be, I've learned that taking the time to appreciate those who have helped me get through those tough times is crucial, and it always be willing to help others when they are in need. There are people that are sometimes mean for no reason and always judge a book by the cover when they just see the outright appearance or just the rumors they hear in school or in the workplace. My grandmother taught me that to always be there for someone, even when they're not the type of person that comes off as nice or as kind. There's always a front up that someone puts to defend themselves, whether it's a mean front up or if it's just a silly, goofy one. Without my grandmother, I would not be the person I am today. One of my fondest memories is spending the night with my friends shortly after my grandmother passed away. It was a moment of pure joy and happiness that I will never forget. I care deeply for my friends and consider them my family members. Their unwavering support and love have been a consistent source of strength for me, and I know that I can always count on them even after we graduate from Otto Eldred this May. On the other hand, one of my most difficult memories is being taken away from my parents alongside my siblings. The confusion and uncertainty I had felt during that time was overwhelming, and it made my early teen years incredibly challenging. However, I believe that difficult experiences like this makes us a stronger and more empathetic person. I want to be a person who can help comfort children and teens who feel lost and alone in the world. I know firsthand how important it is to have someone to talk to and confide in during those tough times. I plan to assist others by putting what I learned in college to use and educating those in less fortunate places. I plan to become a teacher and an anthropologist. I want to travel to places less fortunate than the USA and educate those wanting to learn, as well as learn about their history and their legends in return. I plan to continue to educate myself by attending Elmira in the fall for anthropology and sociology. Once I graduate from Elmira, I plan to get involved with as many organizations that can and will be willing to fund me to go to third world countries to develop their education and to educate their children. While I am not involved much in my school, there aren't many sports or clubs or activities that I play normally. I plan to use my experience that I have obtained in my early childhood education classroom to I plan to use my experience at the Career and Technical Center in Port Allegheny in my program, Early Childhood Education. I've had the privilege of volunteering at the Port Allegheny Rotary, where we wrap gifts and distribute those said gifts as Christmas elves for children who have disabilities of all sorts of kind. Previously, I've also helped decorate a food drive box for the Thanksgiving food box drive. In ECE, I have been able to get multiple certifications that will help me in the future, no doubtably. I have the Family Certificate of Achievement Ethical Issues Online Training course certificate. While being a senior at Otto Eldred High School, I have been able to stay on honor roll for most of my senior year as well as most of my high school career. I've also made many friends who support me, my teacher who support me, family members who support me, and other adults who were willing to come forth and talk to me when I was in a hard time. Overall, I am thankful for my life I had been given for people who have made it all possible. Life is unpredictable and we never know what's going to happen next. But with the support of our loved ones, we can get through anything. I am grateful to my friends, my family, and my experiences, both good and bad, and those people that have just given me a smile or just a pat on the shoulder, because these people are what pushed me to become a better person. I am willing to learn to become a leader for the future and become a leader for your children, your teenagers who just happen to be my age and just need a guiding hand for the future. Thank you.
This time I would like to invite Freddie Graham to the podium to introduce our honoree, excuse me, I'm sorry, our honoree, Ellen Mialky.
Good afternoon, everyone. What a beautiful room we got here with all these, powerful women here. It's very, very encouraging to see that. Congrats to you, Asher. Sounds like you have a very bright future. Very cool. So I was a student at the Learning Center from preschool through 6th grade back in the late 80s, early 90s. I consider myself one of the lucky ones who have witnessed Ellen's amazing personality firsthand. I can truly say that Ellen planted the seeds for many of the positive characteristics in me today. Ellen was nominated for this award by Nidra Hart. Thank you, Nidra, for stepping up and making this happen. She definitely deserves it. And I'm honored to have this opportunity to introduce Ellen. So as a child, I, of course, wasn't aware of all the critical roles Ellen had and the passion she put into running the school as well as it did. As I prepared for this introduction, I had been speaking with my parents, as well as Nidra, and some other teachers who had witnessed Ellen's involvement and commitment to the Learning Center. I'm sincerely in awe at the leadership and dedication that she put into our school and to us kids. Ellen embodies everything this award is meant to honor. Ellen was the driving force in creating the Learning Center nearly 40 years ago. Her fierce dedication to that school is inspiring. For all those years, many nights, Ellen could be seen walking home with her arms full of books and files, which to me shows she likely spent part of her evening continuing to tend to meeting the needs of the school and us students. Mind you, this was after a full day of both working as the school principal and as a teacher, because she also taught. Ellen wore all the hats necessary to keep the school running smoothly, from hiring staff, obtaining financing, state licensing, clerical duties, maintenance of building and grounds, everything. And as I said, also teaching. I mean, geez, Ellen, where did you find the energy? Kids are exhausting. What's more is that she handled these duties with a smile, a sense of humor, and this cool, calm demeanor always she had. She set a standard for her students, for her staff, and for the parents to strive for. Countless students have gone on to become top scholars and gain much success after beginning their education under Ellen's strong leadership. So as a little elementary kid myself, I always will remember how Ellen's presence and that cool, calm demeanor could quiet a whole room of young, overly energetic, and sometimes out-of-control kids. Of course, I was never one of the out-of-control ones. Her presence in a room was large, and without having to raise her voice, she could silence us. She could command our respect, and she could capture our small attention spans. Ellen, I'm grateful to have been able to learn from the example you set. I really do believe all those years ago, your composed presence has influenced me. As I prepared for the speech, I was able to really reflect on how amazing your tenure at the Learning Center was. And so here I am, 42 years old, and I'm still learning from the example you set. Thank you, Ellen. And what's really neat is after almost 40 years, you and many of the amazing teachers I see sitting in this room, you've raised kids and their kids and maybe some of their grandparents, some of their grandkids. You've helped raise generations. And I'm happy to say my very own daughter will be attending the Learning Center come this next kindergarten season. So with all that said, ladies and gentlemen, I am very honored to have this opportunity to introduce this year's YWCA Leadership Award winner, Ellen Mialky.
Thank you, Freddie. He's always going to be Freddie. He's never going to be Fred. I'm sorry. I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation to Nidra Hart and to the Bradford YWCA for this honor, and congratulations to Asher. Over the years, I've been fortunate to focus on 4 factors that are most important to me. These are, of course, my family and children, teaching in a wide variety of settings, my friends, and my community. After family, the most important event for me was the establishment of the Learning Center in 1984. Yes, we've been there 40 years as a state-licensed elementary school and child care center. There is no way this could have happened without the very hard, consistent work of our founders, Rosemary Burke, Debbie Reynolds, Linda Hoover, Nancy Garris, and Diane Schuler. We spent a whole summer meeting or on the phone, working on the location, enrollment, licensing, curriculum, staffing, equipment, you name it, so that we could open in the fall. We opened with 34 kids, and the staff didn't get paid till January. These women and the evolving staff over the years have always bonded quickly with the children, worked closely with the parents and the grandparents for a positive school experience. In addition to the academics, we worked hard to create a school community family that fosters empathy, is not competitive, and accepts differences. Classmates were encouraged to help each other through cooperative learning. Our parents made a significant contribution through fundraising and manpower. I don't want to ignore the men. Manpower to maintain the former Fourth Ward School. We had a new furnace, roof, windows, playground, asbestos removal, and a security system, something we never dreamed we'd need, but we got. All the progress is greatly helped by the contributions and support of local businesses, community organizations, and friends who have made scholarships available, making our program reasonable for everyone. So it really has taken the community to get that 40 years in. Staff has always received very low wages. In addition to weathering the effects of, see if you remember all this, Giardia, water shutdowns, and of course, COVID. Teaching with a mask on was a real challenge that we mastered pretty well in the last couple of years. Although I dearly miss TLC after retiring 2 years ago, 3 things have given me great comfort. First of all is the fact that we passed on the directorship to a very talented, dedicated, hardworking former TLC kid, Jill Neighbor. Such a relief to know that the children and program are in good hands. The second satisfaction, and Freddie's a good example of this, is seeing TLC kids over the years shine in a wide variety of fields all over the country, and especially in our community. They are happy, talented adults who are contributing to society, and that's our reward. And of course, personally, I now get to spend more time with my family. Kevin, who's got the teaching gene, and he's in Dansville, and my daughter Erin, who's in Williamsville, and she's a doctor. And 4 delightful, rapidly growing grandchildren Ivan, Samara, Ben, and Sam, so I get to spend some time with them. Thank you for coming today, and thank you for this honor. I appreciate it.
Thank you again, everyone, for joining us today to honor these two astonishing women, to honor women of our rising leaders and leaders of the past. At this time, I would just like to take a moment to thank all of our event sponsors for making this event possible. We have event sponsors Allegheny Bradford, Love Toyota, Marshall Insurance Services Incorporated, and Mick and Michelle Marshall, Philo and Sarah Blaisdell Foundation, the Satterwhite family, Zippo. Our patron sponsors, Beacon Light Journey Health System, Dresser Utility Solutions, Northwest, and the University of Pittsburgh at Bradford. Our friend sponsors, Bradford Regional Airport, CNB Bank, the Fraternal Order of Eagles Auxiliary number 2432, and the Fraternal Order of Eagles, Graham Hart Families, Label Pack, McCourt Label, Minard Run Oil Company, VFW Post 212, and sponsors Jarrett Machine, Kiwanis Club of Bradford, Metallico, and Richard Kessel. Thank you again to all of our sponsors. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. And again, congratulations to Asher and Ellen. Very well-deserved honors. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon.